Good evening and welcome to Gunner Shot. Where is Xi? That's the $1,000,000 question we're going to answer tonight. I mean, it could be a $1 trillion question. It could be a $19 trillion question. That's the GDP of China, at least they claim. But where's this man? There's no news. He's not appeared in public for the past about 10 days odd. More than that. His personal messages have, sort of dwindled off. And there's speculation. And all this comes on the back of a few events. We all know that there's a problem in the PLA. There's an extended politburo meeting where he was taken to task. A lot of leaked memos coming out. Those, the Chinese websites, I would say, websites who track China professionally are, with full blast, giving all kinds of news. So one has to take note. Not everything. There can't be smoke without fire. There's a lot of smoke, but it can't be smoke without fire. What's happened to Xi? Let's not speculate. Let's reason it out. Okay. And then we'll see how things are moving. You have to find reason in whatever is there with you. And then you will see that things are going to fall in place. Okay. Now let's start that going. This is not the first time that Xi has been found missing. Let's be very clear. 2012, 13, there was a time when for about 10-15 days he was missing. This was the time when he just took over, or when he was nominated to take over. He threw a fit at that time, and he was not there. Then, on the onset of COVID 2020, he went missing. And he went missing for about 20-25 days. People said, look, at that time, the rumors which were floating were he's got COVID, so he can't come out, or he's had a heart problem, so he's under wraps, all that. After the whole thing, he came out one fine day in Wuhan and started waving hands as if he's a hero. Till then, no one knew where he was. Nothing. Last year, at the third plenum, rumors were that he fainted, he didn't know what he was doing, he had a stroke, and things like that, and he was missing. And he was missing for nearly about 15 days. And then he came out. Then rumors coming of he having aneurysms, brain aneurysms, this, that, all that. A lot of things. But every time he's come out. But now, for the past 10 odd days, if I go by, there's nothing official. Officially, no one will tell you in China. If you go by what social media and YouTubers claim, and they're seasoned Chinese YouTubers, then he is not around. Why? Is he sick again? Is he being sidelined? Or is there a coup? We don't know. China, really speaking, there's no coup in the real sense. Everything happens slowly in China and many issues. That's why I said, if a collapse happens, it happens slowly. If a coup happens, it happens at slow pace. Where people don't understand, the transfer of power will be violent, it will not be apparent. It will happen over a period of time. A chap will be kept jailed, but he'll say, no, he's there. He'll be kept under house arrest, he'll be taken completely out. And we'll go over that, all that. And then you'll get an idea as to what's going on. Okay. Oh, you also have to remember that, there was a SEO summit in Kazakhstan last year. And he left before the last dinner. He came straight back to China. Even then, there were, rumors of coup in the air. Before that, he was, after a BRIC summit in Johannesburg, he was expected to come back to Beijing. He didn't do that. He flew to Tibet. He surfaced in Tibet, right? And from Tibet, he went by train to Beijing. So people said, look, his life is under a thing. There might be a color revolution and things like that. So these things have been swirling around there. And in a society which is as close as China and a party which doesn't give any information out except what it suits itself. So all this speculation will be out. And we have to make sense of that speculation. So let's make some sense out of that speculation. The first sense, which I showed 3 days back or 4 days back in my talk, in the morning talk. There's this journal bi-monthly, I won't say bi-monthly, once in 2 months, they come out with this journal called QC. Now that's the hardcore party journal. And it's dedicated a lot to Xi Jinping. Now that comes out and says, look, we are down for the long haul preparations. And I told you this, I'm repeating, this is a repeat. What came out in that? It was conveying a message of uncertainty in China's economy, telling everyone, don't worry, we are in for the long haul, but yeah. But there's a warning which the journal came out with. It says China should be facing an even more challenging external environment marked by sudden and unexpected events. The QC is generally manipulated by Xi Jinping. Okay. And the journal also called for stabilizing employment, boosting domestic demand, securing food, energy supplies, risks from local level debt, small bank troubles, and the property downturn. Look, if so far you felt all these were in the air, now the holiest of holy mouthpieces of China's, Communist Party comes out with these. These are the core problems. Of course, they have in this omitted demography, but they are wishing it away. There's something they have to hold back. No? But these are the issues: employment, domestic demand, energy supplies, food supplies. So these are all problems which China has, live problems. Understand this. Risk from local level debt, all that. And he says, as weak demand, unemployment pressure, real estate crisis, US tariffs continue to weigh on Chinese economy. The commentary said that China must strengthen efforts to shore up and core and cutting edge technologies. This is what whose message is this? That's the question. It needs to achieve breakthroughs in critical technologies, accelerate the application of scientific advances to drive new growth momentum. And this paragraph tells you it was Xi's. This was Xi's message to the nation. Why? For him, technology is the crux. Everything is technology. Everything is new momentum, new growth momentum, scientific advances. He goes that technology route, and we'll talk of it in the end. Okay, so this is something which, but it is extraordinary for someone to say, admit that there are so many problems in the country. It never said. Then this white paper on security. I didn't mention. Whatever was said in the white paper on security, I went back and checked. It was said in the 20-party Congress document. Same thing. Same to same. Except a few, it's contextualized to the current geopolitical situation. It is saying what is an update on the 20-party Congress story with more security. I mean, everyone felt, those of you who don't know, let me explain this. What is this 20-party Congress? You must be thinking, yaar, ye apna Congress ka party hai ye. Every 5 years, the Communist Party has a Congress or a meeting. In that meeting, what happens is it's a fixed election of everything. Everything is fixed. All the delegates or the Communist Party members choose their local level people. And those local level people, their names go to Xi Jinping or whoever the top chap is. They select how many people can come for that party congress. And that's held over about 4-5 days. Okay. About 2,000-3,000 people come. It's like a parliament of kinds. So all these people come and they're given lectures on what's happening in China, and they're supposed to go back and tell this, and that's a party line. Out of these 2,000 odd people, there's a National People's Congress which is made, which is like a super cabinet. Okay, and that National People's Congress attends the two sessions. Two sessions is held every year. That will come to. It's like a two sessions like a parliament session. And it's a lot of nautanki in that. One part is very serious, one part, a lot of it is nautanki. Two sessions is not exactly 2 days, it is more. It could be 4, 5, 6 days. And then from those 200 odd guys, there's a core politburo which is taken, selected. There are about 25 people in that politburo. And those are the kingpins of Communist Party. And invariably, that is a trade-off between various factions. Every guy from his region says, I want my guy in. So, and from those 25 guys, 7 to 9 people are taken as Politburo Standing Committee. Now, they are the highest body. And above them is Xi Jinping. These are the guys who talk. Now, that Politburo Standing Committee and everyone is, chosen during the 20-party Congress. During the 20-party Congress, a guy like Xi Jinping, the General Secretary of the party, is expected to give a complete rundown on what's happening. Right? And what's happened for the past 5 years, he gives a report, and what is the road further. It happens once in 5 years. Now, the last party congress was held in October 22. It was called the 20-party Congress. Right. Next Congress is to be held 5 years later. That's the 21st Party Congress in 27. When Xi Jinping took over, he took over the 18th Party Congress. I'm putting this layout. Then he had the 19th Party Congress. It was the 19th Party Congress that he turned the Communist Party back to hardcore communism. Now, ever since and at that time when he turned the Communist Party to hardcore communism and China to back to Mao's ideals, China's economy was on the top. And it continued to be there with that momentum for the next 5 years. The problem came with COVID. But then by COVID, still China was on the top, right? No one knew that it will go down. And Xi Jinping gave a he changed the course of China in the last 20-party Congress 2.5 years back. Nearly 3 years back now. It became a security state. But from then to now, China has faced all problems. We've been talking of it. So this white paper on security, the way I looked at it, I said 2 words. It's ambitious and anxiety. Both were there. Ambition was to make China a Sinocentric, head of a Sinocentric world order. Anxiety was, can I make it? Xi Jinping wanted to reinforce his authority by this white paper and explain to everyone, this is what I want to do. And this came out in that extended Politburo, which was held on 14th May. All these happened in May, mind you. 14th May, and when, this is the time when India and Pakistan were hammer and tongs with each other, 7 to 10, 4 days later they have this, in which they had a tutu mai all round. That's the time when the security paper comes out. And it is said that Xi Jinping spoke in his defense that how he's changed China over the past 10 years, 12 years, and all that. But okay, now we have to go back to the 20 party Congress. In the 20 party Congress, something very interesting happened, or rather, very significant happened. Hu Jintao was escorted out of the party hall. This became a world event. Okay, nothing new. So have a look at it because I'll start from here. This is Hu Jintao, and he's being coaxed out, and he's trying to get hold of this paper. See that, and he's being pulled up. See, he's catching hold of that paper, and Xi Jinping is not allowing him to do that. Okay, see that, and he's going to be escorted out. So he's been escorted out. Okay, and he tells something to Xi Jinping, and as he goes, he said something, and as he goes, he's given a tap to Li Keqiang. Li Keqiang was the prime minister, and Li Keqiang not went out. Okay, now this is the interesting part. Xi Jinping completely sidelined Hu Jintao and threw him out. It was a spectacle. Soon after that, Xi Jinping, I'll go back because this whole story starts around that time. He threw out Li Keqiang. Within a year, Li Keqiang dies in a swimming pool. He's 64 years old. He dies in a swimming pool. Okay, so let's go ahead. Where's this? Yeah. Now, what I want to do is after this, I'll first talk of PLA. So keep this at the back of your mind, what happened in 20 Party Congress. Now, ever since Xi Jinping took over as the General Secretary of China, or the Communist Party and the President of China and the Chairman of the Central Military Commission, he is purging the party. Army, PLA. He felt that the PLA was too steeped into businesses and making money and they're not fit. And he felt that the time has come when the PLA has to be modern, and modernization started off in big time. So he purged a lot of generals. They were divested of their monies and this and that and all that, which I've spoken of. Just about 4-5 months back, a full list of the generals who were purged came out. And when I showed this also, I keep showing this. 14 full generals, 20 lieutenant generals, and more than 50 major generals were purged, including defense ministers. I'll come to that a little later. So the PLA has been under the hammer to professionalize it. Did he succeed? To a large extent. Did he succeed? Not so much. Because fundamentally, you have to understand, the PLA guards the party. The PLA's primary task is to ensure that the party remains in power. It guards the party against the people. Now, if you are going to discipline your guard, you have to be different about it. I mean, the earlier chaps let the guard, that is the PLA, make their money. And a lot of PLA has got a lot of political clout, and I'll show you that political clout, how it comes. Now, when you take a summary of the guys who went, there were 3 defense ministers in the past 10 years, 3 CMC members, and now these chaps are in the past 2 years. This Li Shangfu, okay, I'll make it bigger. Li Shangfu, Mia Hua, and He Weidong very recently. Out of them, He Weidong has died. Another full general has died. He's committed suicide, jo bhi hai. But both these chaps have died in custody. That's the thing. And this bloody He Weidong is Xi Jinping's chela. Right. And then a whole lot. You have so many people, theater commanders, commanders of PLA Air Force, PLA Navy, Special Forces commander, your special, your strategic force commander, former ministers, everyone, logistics, this, that, this is the list, this is the honors board. I've given everyone here. Okay. But till about last year, well, things were okay. Till about June last year. June last year, something very interesting happened. And this is that interesting thing which happened. There was a meeting held in an old revolutionary base. Okay. And this place was a place called Gutian, which is in the central China. And Xi Jinping called all his senior officers there and said, look, I want loyalty from you. And he also said, look, if you do things go bad, there might be a civil war. It was unheard of. Actually, from then we've been saying that something is going to happen. It's a matter of time, and it's happening. Now you look at the picture here. Xi Jinping, this is Yang Jiujia, who's the next vice chairman, and this is He Weidong, no more. And the rest. The thing about China, they're very regimented. When they walk from one place to the other in a congregation like this, they go seniority wise. Not only here, even politically. I'll show you that also. So what happened? What happened? This is a slide which I made in last year. Just repeating it because it's good to retrace what happened. Now, at that point of time, Xi Jinping personally decided to convene this meeting in Yan'an, an old revolutionary base. This happened 10 years after the meeting, a similar meeting was held in Gutian. When he took over, and PLA at that time, as per him, was Berserk. So he called all of them and told them, you need to uphold the party discipline, leadership, this, that, and all that. He says, this is where Zhou Enlai stayed, this is where Mao Zedong stayed, and Josh, things like that. And he led all of them to visit revolutionary sites and recreated history and said, and then he also told them, look, what did Mao did to those people? They purged. So you chaps are on the verge of a purge. And then he started purging 10 years back. He repeated it last year. It was very funny. And why Gutian? Gutian was the place where Mao used to hold meetings and purge people during Cultural Revolution. So he was recreating that to straighten PLA. But did it happen? It didn't happen. Now, a very funny thing, the attendance at that meeting. By the time this meeting took place, you see this, I put a question mark, Li Shangfu had been sacked. The replacement Dong Yun was missing. He was not appointed. He was not called also for this meeting. Very funny. Now this same Dong Yun, he's not come for the Shangri-La conference. He's been kept back. So the fellow is under some kind of a shadow. I don't know what he's doing. These are all strange things. And China, you get to know by these strange things which happen. And this chap is Mia Hua, who has gone, he's been thrown out. And he's, I believe, sung like a canary. And he's implicated 1,300 people in PLA. And this chap is He Weidong, who's no more. So the Central Military Commission, only these 4 chaps. And then this lady, his wife, has had a outsized influence on the PLA in the postings, this, that, everything. She's an honorary major general or something like that, and she's basically a singer who goes for the troop. What shall I say? I would say troop comfort. So she's a singer. She's been made a major general. Now she's got an active role in the PLA. All this has not been liked. Okay. So let's come to this. Understanding this is pivotal. The CMC, or the Central Military Commission of China, is the second most powerful body after the politburo. The rest, everyone comes later. That is why every party secretary wants to control this Central Military Commission. And that is why no party secretary or the president is given the chairmanship of the CMC initially. The old guy controls the party through the CMC. We'll come to that. So in this case, what happened? He Weidong, who's now dead, was Xi Jinping's chela. Zhang Yuxia was also Xi Jinping's chela. What is the difference? Zhang Yuxia was on the verge of retirement during the last 20-party conference. He was to retire. But Zhang Yuxia and Xi Jinping were good pals, good friends. So Xi Jinping said, no, you continue because I want to restructure the army and the PLA. And PLA needs to be top class because we are going to be the number one in the world and things like that. This was 2.5 years back when everyone felt decline of America and rise of China and power shifting to the east and all that nonsense. So he persuaded Zhang Yuxia to stay on. Zhang Yuxia stayed on. But it so happened Zhang Yuxia had a conscience of his own. He didn't like what Xi Jinping was doing. So the power struggle started. Li Shangfu was Zhang Yuxia's nominee, pet. Xi Jinping sacks Li Shangfu and he's out. So what does Zhang Yuxia do? He tightens the screw on all of Xi Jinping's chelas. First, October last year, he sacks Mia Hua, and now He Weidong, who's his vice chairman, and he's dead. And Xi Jinping has been able to do nothing because Zhang Yuxia has got a better control over the PLA. So he's now come as a political force. And in that extended party conference, he's told everyone, he says, I have nothing to lose or gain. I was retiring. You people told me to be here. So whatever I'm doing is for China, not for any individual. Okay. So now in that extended Politburo meeting, who are the guys? One was Hu Jintao, Zhang Yuxia, and Wen Jiabao on one side and the other side Xi Jinping. So go back to that film I showed. Hu Jintao was biding his time. And then he struck. He got Zhang Yuxia on his side. Wen Jiabao was his prime minister. That fellow is a party elder now. He's come back. And they've all put Xi Jinping in the dock. Now, I'll go back to the 19th Party Politburo. 19th Party Congress Politburo. Because everything, starts from there. It might be a little confusing initially, but it's okay. Right, you don't need to see my face. 19th Party General Secretary is Xi Jinping. Then you have Li Keqiang, who was a Prime Minister, Li Zhanshu, Wang Yang, Wang Huning, Zhao Liji, and one more guy. Now, at that point of time, Li Qiang, he was retired at the end of the 19th Party Congress. Or at the beginning of the 20th Party Congress, he was taken out of the equation and retired. Wang Yang was also retired, so was these two. Why I'm putting Wang Yang is, this chap's name is being spoken as a replacement for him. Now, if there's anything which will happen. Wang Huning and Zhao Liji were two guys of the Politburo Standing Committee who survived, who were taken into the next Politburo. Okay, for the 20th Party, that is October. So this was maybe in September 22. Next will come on October 22. We'll come to that. Now this was the rest of the guys who were in that Politburo. Okay. Now in this, Ding Xuanxing, he's part of the Politburo Standing Committee now. Li Zhi is still here only. Okay. Li Qiang, who was part of the Politburo, is now the Vice Premier. Okay, Zhang Yuxia was part of the Politburo at that point of time. He remains part of the Politburo And he is also the vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. So here comes the connection. So some of those people who are in the Central Military Commission are also in the politburo. So they're strong. So the vice chairman of the CMC is very strong. Okay. At that point of time, these are the guys. And Saichi, who's now in the Politburo Standing Committee, he is Xi's left hand or right hand man, whatever you call it. Right? He was just in the Politburo in 2.5 years back. Now look at this guy which I put in green. He's a chap called Hu Chunhua. Hua Chunhua, whatever it is. That very Chinese name. This guy was young and expected to eventually take over from Xi Jinping, projected as a future leader. The only thing was, this chap was from Hu Jintao's faction. So Xi Jinping axed him. Everyone thought he will go into the Politburo Standing Committee. He was thrown out. Now, if you go back to that film I showed, where the chap is searching for the file next to Xi Jinping, Hu Jintao, he's looking. It is said that Hu Jintao wanted Hua Chuanhua name included. It was not there. Either in the Politburo or in the Standing Committee of the Politburo. It was not there. And Xi Jinping said, didn't allow. All these things happened till the last time. And till date, that vacancy is kept. Now we come to the 20th party, Politburo. This is the current. Now, if you see the current one, Xi Jinping is on this Politburo is handpicked by Xi Jinping. There's no opposition to Xi Jinping in this. Right? Okay. But I want you to focus on these two chaps, Wang Huning and Saichi. This is Vice Prime Minister. These three chaps, these four are absolutely loyal to Xi Jinping. But Saichi, who was supposed to be Xi Jinping's trusted guy, in the past 2 months, he is distancing away from Xi Jinping in various methods. Let's not go into. This fellow normally accompanies Xi Jinping wherever he goes. On a couple of occasions, he's not gone. And Xi Jinping's entourage, which is supposed to have a certain level of guys, no more has that. There's a thing which keeps coming out when you see multiple, videos, pictures, commentaries. Now, this guy, Wang Huning, he's an ideological guy of the party. He has been in that position in the Politburo for the past 20 years. Now, these guys are the guys who are now Pyadas. Now, the question now is Saichi hoping for his own elevation? Wang Huning made his move some time back. You see, again here, Xi Jinping, Li Qiang, Zhao Liji, Wang Huning, Saichi, Ding Jiang, and Li Xi. All these fellows are in a line, and they're coming in a line as per their seniority. This is regimentation. Everyone has his place there. Yeah, I'll come to this first and I'll go back there. So, last year in the third plenum, where Xi Jinping was sick and suppose he didn't attend half of it, Wang Huning was the kingmaker. So he says he is rising. He's the political theorist. So he's also a chap who's quietly thrown his hat in the ring. Okay. Now, in this, again you see Politburo, Zhang Yugjia is here. Xi Jinping, to balance Zhang Yugjia, he probably knew to balance Zhang Yugjia, he put He Widong also. Now this fellow is dead. Whole. But Zhang Yugjia still holds the PLA and this thing. And of course, all these chaps now, the other factions don't have a grip on it. Xi Jinping cleansed other factions out from the Politburo. So at this point of time, Xi Jinping still controls the Politburo and some part of the CMC. Right. Now people say there will be a transfer of power. Who are they saying? That Wang Yang. I'll go back to who's this fellow. Yeah, this chap, Wang Yang. He's one guy who is Hu Jintao's buddy. Hu Chunhua, again, but people say he's too young, he might not come. So, but Wang Yang was a member of the Politburo Standing Committee. He was a senior member of the Politburo Standing Committee. So they say, if Xi Jinping goes out, put him for the balance 2 years of this party congress, and then get Hu Chunhua ahead. That's one combination. The other combination, there might be a struggle between Wang Yuning and Zai Qi. Look, people have a lot of theories, who will come, but we don't know. This is all speculation. And we should not forget that Xi Jinping has not given up. He's got his own power. He's still strong. He's got tremendous. He still controls the Politburo. So it is either way. Now, what does it tell you, all this? See, the point is that what is clear is there's a struggle for power. Xi Jinping is not fully in control, like what he was probably even 1 year back. For the past 1 year, there's a slow erosion of control. And one of the reasons why China is going down is that the control at the top has not been there. But the transfer of power will not be easy in China. It's never been. Transfer of power in China has always been violent, a struggle, everything. What I'll do is I'll just recount the transfer of power in the communist period. But if you go back beyond the communist period, at that time there used to be warlordism, there used to be battles, one dynasty used to come and another dynasty used to go. There were colonialism, all kinds of nonsense. But that was past. But now it's not going to be easy. So what can one predict? If there's a power struggle going on, Xi Jinping's hold on power will be weak. That's the first part. If Xi Jinping is taken off and a new guy comes, he will not be able to grab that power so easily or consolidate power for the next 2 years. It's only in the 20-party Congress that he'll be able to get his own people in. After all these chaps who are up there, including the vice premier, are thanks to Xi Jinping. That's Xi Jinping's men. And the way power struggles happen in China, one doesn't know. And already you find people dying. People dying. A prime minister has gone, and what have you. So this is going to be an issue with China, whichever way you like it. Now, if there is a power struggle at the top, there's going to be a cascading effect down below. Will China be powerful? Because internal politics is weak. It will be something like the Khichdi government we had. We had Khichdi governments, no? Every year a prime minister used to change. Right? 80s, late 80s, 90s. Janata Party. So that's going to happen in China now. I foresee it. And if that happens, and the PLA is on one track and the political thing is on the other track, there's a problem. The economy won't go. And we don't forget that Mr. Trump has unleashed a trade war. It's not feasible that Trump didn't know all this was happening. After all, he's not a fool. He's the president. He was the president. All his advisors knew what's happening in China. If P.R. Shankar sitting in Chennai knows with seeing all this, that all this can happen, I'm sure Trump knew and he threw that trade war. Because this is the time to win. You got to strike when the opposition is weak, isn't it? So, this. Okay, so let's go back to China, what it was. See, Mao took over through his, long march and this and that, 49, all that. Then he came up with this cultural revolution, right? So I'll show you this a little bigger. Okay. 1966, launched the Cultural Revolution. Who are the targets? Professors, this, that, all that. And he threw all the intelligentsia out. And as per him, all these chaps were counter-revolutionaries who didn't contribute to Chinese well-being. And he said, no, all these chaps are against, right? And then he went, part of his cultural revolution was this: destroy the four olds. Old customs, old culture, old habits, old ideas. He actually destroyed China's culture completely. Right? Now, in this cultural revolution, he decimated the intelligentsia of China. Right? The second thing, which, of course, and now my mistake here, I put the cultural revolution ahead. The Cultural Revolution came in 1966. Okay. He used these red guards to target all these people. And, there are a lot of things. I'll not go into that. But before that came the famine, the Great Leap Forward. Now, officially, or whichever way you look at it, 30 to 40 million people died in China at that time. This happened, it started somewhere in 1954, peaked out in 61, and continued till 1965. Actually, when PLA invaded India in 62, they were going through a great famine. If we knew all this, we could have done something. They could have done nothing. Our level of intelligence was so poor, our level of understanding of China was so poor that we didn't know what to do. And that is why it is important that old fools like me, talk of this to all of you, so that there's a national understanding of what's happening in China. If you know what's happening in China and what the political repercussions are and what the military repercussions are, economic repercussions thereof, then you know how to handle China. Let me tell you, many of you who are hearing this for the first time might feel that, look, yaar, ye kya bol raha hai? Isse kya lena dena hai? But you have to understand China from all these perspectives. Never leave your eyes out of the main thing. Everything in China is political. Remember this, everything in China is political. You solve the politics, you solve the military. So, Mao Zedong's period, you had the Cultural Revolution and the Great Leap Forward. Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution. He destroyed China completely. When he died, his wife and the gang of four, there are four other chaps, these are the four guys. Names and all are not important. Okay, 76, Mao died. His wife, Jiang Qing or Jiang Qing, whatever you call her, she, with three of these fellows, took over reins for a few years till Deng Xiaoping came. There was a struggle, and then in 1976, Hua Guofeng was made as the chairman of the thing as a compromise. Okay, he was said, and he continued for 2 years. Then Deng Xiaoping came in 1978 and started reforms. He continued with this fellow. In 81, threw him out. Ultimately, he took over. So this fellow was thrown out. Those four were arrested and thrown in jail. So this transfer of power from 76 to 81, 82 was severe. And then Deng Xiaoping consolidated power. It was not till late 80s that he could give out his four modernizations, this, that, and all that. Okay. Now he had two deputies, Hu Biang and Zhao Jiang. Okay. Hu Yaobing and Zhang Jiang. These chaps were there. 89 Tiananmen happens, and Zhao Jiang is thrown out because he was a little towards the protesters. And Xi Jinping, Deng Xiaoping comes heavily down in Tiananmen. They say officially some 1,000 odd people died or something, but unofficially the count is over 30,000-40,000 people were finished. He was ruthless, thrown out. And then Deng Xiaoping consolidated. Everyone says Deng Xiaoping did everything good for China, but he didn't. He introduced this one-child policy in 1980. And it ruined China, and it has ruined China forever. It will not come out. Two-child policy is not working. Every day you see that everything is going down. But these communist idiots, they continued with it. Even after one-child policy was lifted out, there were some provinces which were fining people for having the second child. That's a different story. And of course, 1989 was the crackdown on Tiananmen. I'll not talk further. Right? Around 1989, Deng Xiaoping gives the power and gives it to Jiang Zemin. Jiang Zemin was a compromise candidate with not much of a backing anywhere. But the factions, because at that point of time, the Communist Party was faction ridden. Look, it remains faction ridden even now. So, Jiang Zemin is a thing. He starts stabilizing things. And he was initially not subservient to Deng Xiaoping. So, what does Deng Xiaoping do? Deng Xiaoping relinquish being the general secretary of the party and president of China, but he retained the chairmanship of the Central Military Commission. Okay, he didn't give it to Jiang Zemin. And he twisted Jiang Zemin's tail through the PLA. And Jiang Zemin did what Deng Xiaoping wanted. And Deng Xiaoping's protege was Hu Jintao, this man. So he was thrust on Jiang Zemin. He said, you will make him. He was part of the politburo standing committee. So Jiang Zemin was, through a pincer move from the Central Military Commission and from the politburo standing committee, Central Military Commission through Deng Xiaoping and Hu Jintao through the politburo route, controlled Jiang Zemin. Gone. Then Hu Jintao came, took over the party. Jiang Zemin did the same thing to Hu Jintao. Only thing Jiang Zemin couldn't do was he didn't have a guy in the politburo. But through the CMC, he fingered Hu Jintao. And Hu Jintao was smart. He changed China, right, completely. If you say whatever China in terms of its wealth, all that, it was Hu Jintao. If you see who occupied these islands, it was Hu Jintao. He operated under the carpet, and he transformed China. And he was ruthless. He was ruthless in his objectives of reform and opening up. But in the process, he allowed a lot of private people to have their way. When he allowed those private people to have their way, China was going out of control. The Chinese Communist Party was not under control, was not able to control China. The private people wanted to get rid of the Communist Party. In fact, if you go back and see why was Jack Ma thrown off, Jack Ma started this ant group and he was going in for the biggest IPO. Part of the biggest IPO and Alipay was to have some kind of a currency based on a crypto, which could bypass the Chinese financial system. Xi Jinping came to know of him and threw him out. Period. Xi Jinping had this capability. Thank you. And then Xi Jinping, right? Of course. They say the first orderly transition took place between Jiang Zemin and Hu Jintao. The transition was orderly, no problems. Hu Jintao was immediately appointed and all that after 2 terms. But the control didn't go. Hu Jintao remained under control of Jiang Zemin through the other party. But when Xi Jinping came, Xi Jinping went into he manipulated things to ensure that all three hats were with him. As a result, he gained absolute control, and everyone gave in to him at that point of time because the क्या बोलते हैं उसको? The party was losing control over China. So he said, yeah, get the party back into control. So he said, forget all this modernization, get back to grassroots. And that's the story of Xi Jinping. Now he's facing problems. Okay. Initially, he followed Deng Xiaoping's footsteps. Then he threw Deng Xiaoping, shook hands with Mao. And in all this, he wanted to become bigger than both of them. Now, this was anathema to all other factions. He said, yeah, if this fellow continues, his economy is gone, our power is gone, everything is gone. Now the CCP power is at stake. Because he changed the basic character of that social contract. You give me your freedom, I'll give you prosperity. Now it's no more that. You give me your freedom, I'll give you security. And that is why that white paper on security is important. It's got significance. And he's made a cult of his own. And he's come out, as per Xi Jinping, today China is in the new era. The new era is Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping thought and all that, which people don't like. Now, I did a comparison some time back. Is China going through a USSR model? This is the model. I'll not discuss the one on the right, but just see. See what happened in USSR. These are the factors which happened. The Communist Party, the opacity of the Communist Party hit the hollowness in USSR. That's the same case today for China. There was corruption, even now. There was loss of faith in the communist ideology. There were dismal standards of living. There was elite infighting, which is there now. The rigid USSR system could not reform. Same thing is happening now. Xi Jinping there was one thing, they reformed to something, now they wanted to reform something, they're going back to something. They're not settled into anything. Gorbachev wanted reform, but he wanted one kind of reform. Something else happened. Same thing is happening here. They were inefficient government-owned factories. They could not produce what people wanted, and what people wanted was not produced. Same thing. China's factories are not producing what people want. They are producing what Americans want. Supply could not match demand. Soviet Union could not service its debt. China is coming to that stage. And they were an over-militarized economy. All these factors of USSR model, in fact, I wrote an article when I was not doing a YouTube. It was about 4 years back. I wrote this. If you see on the right, it's virtually this. There's a problem there. So we'll have to see where it's going. I'm not saying it's going to happen. And then this crumbling wall of China, which I keep talking of. The bottom is completely shaken. The base of this wall is absolutely gone. Demography is gone. Climate change is bearing down on them. And political instability is at its height. Will it surface out in the next 2 years? I don't know. I don't think so. So this wall of China is crumbling. Great Wall of China. And the top, when you see diplomacy and geopolitics, is at its worst level. No one wants China except Pakistan. Even North Korea doesn't want it. The military is in shambles. Okay. Only the technology is working. There are issues of technology, but I'll talk of that some other day. No one wants the technology is not going to give them return of investment. On that, I'll talk another day. I'll talk of the complete problem of China, why China, in my view, is uh, going to become a basket case. All these problems we know. I'll not go into the strengths and weaknesses of China. Uh, I'll go into it some other day. But this is it. In all this, where is Xi Jinping? Is he at the helm or not? If he's not at the helm, there's something. If he's at the helm, there's a problem still because the factions are there. Hu Jintao has come back into action, and there's more of vengeance in order. Everything is in order. So the struggle is going to be very severe. You're going to see the manifestations of the struggle are already there. And that's going to have a bearing on the Chinese outlook. Externally, they might say, what do they want? Internally, we should know. Why am I talking all this in this great depth? I am talking of all this in this great depth because these buggers are going to come with Pakistan. We should know where Pakistan stands. When Ishaq Dar went to China, who met him? Wang Yi, no one else. Normally, when the foreign minister, someone goes on a special mission, you go and meet the foreign minister, and then you meet the head of state as a courtesy call, and a photo comes out. Didn't come. So these are signals. So let's not think that China-Pak pollution is as great as we think it is. And there's problem in China, Pakistan also. There's problem in China also. So if you see the politics of this place, then you know what to do. I hope you people have liked what I've spoken. If you liked what I've spoken, please do press the like button and subscribe to my channel. It might seem incomplete to you, but let me tell you, this drama has not played itself out. It's more is there in the offing. Okay, I'll take a few questions with this. Many of you might say, yeah, this has got no relevance to what's happening. Let me assure you, you understand this. It's got 100% relevance to our situation. Okay, thanks a lot, Surya Prakasam, for becoming a member. Sir, your views on prediction in Bhavashya Mallika about war between USA, Turkey, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Pak, few, nothing will happen. All these are all in thin air, right? USA and Turkey and all will not fight. USA is not going to fight with anyone at this point of time. Thanks a lot, Narendra, for your super sticker. Now let me take a few questions. Okay. Sir, the old adage holds true. All politics is local. Thank you for a comprehensive insight into CCP's power struggles. Thank you. Sir needs to write a book on China. Look, I don't get time to write because every day in the morning and evening I'm talking to you people. And when I talk, I refresh myself or read new things and then come and talk. Okay. Jeffrey Sachs thinks China will then win the trade war with US. Your views? Look, Jeffrey Sachs is an anti-US. He's an anti-establishment in US. So anyone who's anti-establishment, who doesn't have balance, forget it. Yeah, 1 hour of exposition went by really quickly. Thank you. Yeah. How? Give me your freedom and I'll give you security, new model function. What are the features? A feature is security of your home. He says, and he's connected security with development. He's said in this new security white paper that unless you have security, you can't have development. Development is with security. And security means no freedom. Thank you. As simple as that. So you get security, not freedom. And he said, if you want to have security, there's no freedom. Right? There's no, I'll give you prosperity, everything. So all this is done, this thing. Okay, every great power seems to at some point of time bottom out at the over-militarized economy. Happening with US, who are stretched thin with their enormous. Yeah, I agree with you. You over-militarize, you go down. That's what's happening in Pakistan. Pakistan is over-militarized. It's not a great power, but it is over-militarized. Yeah, put this Xi Jinping, mildly put, this Xi Jinping is yet another full blown narcissist walking the globe. Events in and around China correlate with his personality type and expected results thereof. Yeah, I agree with you. But the guys who are going to replace him are as bad or as good. When they come, they'll also do cut off it. You'll see the struggle. The struggle will last for the next 2 years. That's how it is. Can you also talk on the Russian ambassador talking of restarting RIC, Russia, India, China? He's living in some funny world. He's looking at it from a Russian point of view. Okay, and their Russian point of view is anti-American. Simple. This fellow is anti-American, and he wants to do this. So. Don't worry about that. Don't give weight to that. Without prosperity, isn't it a myth? Security without prosperity, isn't it a myth, sir, especially in China? I agree with you. But that's the way they framed it, and that's the way they're agreeing. Chinese people are agreeing. Who are you? Okay. Thanks for this in-depth and such extensive info on Chinese. You're a veteran on China, friend. I will see this podcast again so as to absorb. Yeah, you need to. You have to see it 2-3 days, 2-3 times, so understand the nuances of what I've said. Look, for me also, it's very difficult. It was very difficult for me to put this presentation together. Let's be very honest. I didn't know where to start, where to end. For many of you, it would be complicated. I know that because too many connections. If time permits, start Chinese history from 19th century. Thank you. Yeah, I can. One of these days I'll do that. Give me 1 minute. There's a phone coming and I'll come back. Hello, I'll give you a call a little later. Yeah, sorry. Right. Sorry, because there's an urgent call coming. Right. Yeah, time permits, start Chinese history from 19th century. I will. I'll go back to the end of the Ming Dynasty and the Beiyang period and the warlordism and all that. I'll one day cover that whole story of colonialism, where Japanese came, when nationalists came, Sun Yat-sen and all that. Yes, today I've just started with the communists. Yeah. Please click the like button, subscribe, and become members. Yeah, thanks a lot, Yogesh, once again. Pranam, sir. I seek your permission to share your cartoons and screenshots in a family. Yeah, please go ahead. Don't worry. I don't want credit. Just take it and use it. No problems. Just don't worry. So this fellow says nonsense. Thank you. And they arrested all the Buddhist monks. That's a different story, Lily. I'll come back on that. Maybe in a day or two, I'll talk of Tibet. Okay. On the ground, how does it impact us? Z or someone else? India-China relationship is going to be same or similar in the long run, right? Yeah, I agree with you. But the tone of the relationship will change, one. Because, you see, Hu Jintao was a proponent of reform and modernization and opening up. This fellow was not. So they will very quickly come to understanding with China, now in USA, and they will seek an understanding with us also. They will, there's no doubt, and maybe the Pak-China relationship will get, will change a bit, get nuanced a bit. So all this will have a change. I mean, let me ask you, Madhusudan, if tomorrow, hypothetically, the BJP government goes off and the Congress government comes in, will there be changes or not? Same thing there. Okay. You need to understand that opposition there. The opposition is in a different manner. That's it. Yeah, you are working about your squadron strength and all, Smith Patel. Don't get anxious about it. We'll discuss it when we have to do it. Don't worry. I'll get someone good to talk about it. I'm not going to talk of it today. Can we expect policy changes when the dust settles, or same old different people in power? Look, for all you know, this change might not be controllable. China might not be able to control its internal problems, right? And it might be extended issue for a long time. When that happens, there's a domino effect. In China, whenever the central power was weak, the rimlands went into a problem. For example, Tibet can raise autonomy or a flag of freedom. So it gives an opportunity. That's why I said, Abhi, it's too early. Understand the nuances. There are a lot of options will come up. Depends on how things go. And things won't go easy. You have to strike when you see the opening. We didn't strike when we saw the opening in 62. You see, I have no problem with Mr. Nehru with whatever he did. He did. The problem I have with Mr. Nehru is we fail to understand the implication of China going through a famine and people dying. It was a hollow shell, China. If you had knocked the PLA initially hard, they would have broken. And today Tibet would have been free. We missed a great opportunity at that time. That's my view. Because we didn't gauge what China was doing. And for 2 years, that bloody fool, before that, 1 year before that, who's that? Zhao Enlai came here and spoke to everyone. He spoke to all our ministers also here and went back. And we couldn't think that there was a road being built in Aksai Chin and there was a famine there and Richiang. We didn't have an idea of what was happening there. You know what's happening in Pakistan, so you can handle Pakistan. If you know what's happening in China, you can handle China. Unless you make your own assessment of what's happening in China, how will you handle China? I understand when people say, how will it affect us? I agree. But you have to understand, no? Yeah, veterans like you are a treasure for India. Thanks a lot. Yeah, no woman in the politburo. No, last politburo there was. This a politburo, no, nothing, all gone. G, Lee, Wang, Zhao, not so difficult to. Okay. New leaked transcripts from a closed-door Politburo meeting have surfaced, featuring speeches by Hu Jintao, Zhang Yuxi, and Xi himself. Yeah, I agree with you. I've also heard of all this. But how much authentic they are, one doesn't know. But what is authentic, I'm talking, what we can infer. That is important. Looks like the cult of personality forces Xi to purge anyone who can take over. When does this end and what does this lead to? Complete collapse or disintegration of institutions one by one. It's already happening there. It's already happening there. Yeah. Z body posture tilting to one side. Yeah, I agree with you. There, people are talking about it. General is reportedly dead too. More loyalists of Z are being purged from the military. Xi Jinping 60-day curse. 4 possible senior. Yeah, all these, you see, you go to those people, they'll talk. See, the thing is, many of these YouTube channels will talk sensationally to get viewership. I can also say Xi Jinping has 60 days to live. And after that, there'll be a new thing. There'll be 100 more guys watching or 1,000 more chaps watching. I'll get so many, subscribers and all. No, I would like to make an honest assessment and a correct assessment. I've given you facts as I know them. And these are solid facts gained from largely Chinese sources. They're not Western sources. These are Chinese sources. Okay. In fact, there's one beautiful infographic of South China Morning Post that explains all this. You have to search where it is. I went and searched back. Today, whole day I was at it. So that's how I put everything to you. So I would like to put the right things. We shouldn't talk foolishly because you take a decision based on a wrong presumption. The national integrity is at stake or national interests are at stake. I don't want to do that. This is a tough analysis to listen to because all their names sound like slang for ding dong. I agree with you. On a thing, I agree with you completely. It took me about 3-4 years to get a hang of all their names. Yeah, one thing last time when General Sir and Narayan Sir do a podcast on Xi Jinping missing, the next day Xi Jinping appeared to congratulate Chinese Olympian. Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I said 3 times he's disappeared. He might appear again. But the fact is that the power struggle is going on. And the why did he disappear? Is he sick? If he's sick, he will not perform well. That's what we have to assess. And what we assess then, if you go back and see, is right. His power from then to now is reduced. It's not that fellow being there. Is that fellow as a good vegetable or a bad vegetable? That's the thing. Yeah, but Z seems to be going to hiding once in few months and appears on screen. He somehow recover. That's the danger. He's not a weak link. He's not given up. He still controls a large part of the politburo. What I am assessing is what is the level of the struggle. What does that struggle have an effect on the economy? Last year to now, the economy has gone down, demographics have gone down, a lot of things have gone down. Please understand that. That's the thing, important thing. Okay. Yeah, a headline describes China aptly. China is rich, but Chinese. That's what I say. You, China is rich, the people are poor. And communist regimes are for and by people, but PRC communist regimes, sorry, are not for and by the people. They are by the people, but for the communists and people who are in power. It's all about power. Yeah. Every time you twirl your mush, it sends a showers. I agree with you. A lot of people, you see, I gave put out a welcome thing for as a thing for my channel today. 4 minutes. Have a look at it. I welcome all trolls. The cursing me is good news for me because that tells me that everyone is listening to me. China loves taking waterways. Watch out, India. There's no waterway they can take from us, Lily. I have already done this in great detail. So if you don't live in a fool's world, they're not going to take one drop of water from us. Demographic nightmare for China is going to bite them very soon. What are the views on capital flight, reluctancy to join? Okay, Raja, I will do a program on their population and demography very soon. Who may be Z's successor? There are 4 names which I thrown out. Let's see where it goes. If Z is taken out, what are the repercussions to the next chap who steps in? That's the point. Is he a compromise candidate? If he's a compromise candidate, China will be weak. Is he a strong guy? There'll be purges. Again, China will be weak. Look, when there's a struggle on in China for 3-4 years, you'll see them going down. They can't recover. That's the point. Fundamentally, they can't recover. What kind of China is in India's interest? A China which is looking inward, not outward. I've been telling this from a long time. Yeah, China will not become democratic, so let's not dream of it. Don't waste your time for a long time. And if it has to become a democracy, there'll be a revolution in China. Okay. Geeta Mohan, thanks a lot, and thanks a lot, Jai Gopal Venkatraman, for joining me as a member. I'm grateful to all of you who are joining me and subscribing and contributing to Gunner Shot. So honored. Just continue doing it because just today I gave uh, you know school fees for two children. A lot of this goes for them. Okay. Can Ukraine do what they did to Russia without USA support? No. I'll Arunachal. I'm not tuned into it completely. I've read about it. Oh, John Helmer, who's from Moscow. He and we had a word with each other. We're going to discuss, and he said today is the meeting between USA. I mean, that meeting in Turkey between Ukraine and Russia. After this, we'll talk about it. Be patient. I don't. I do not think anyone will replace Z. Someone has to replace Z at any time. Because we lead to capital flight. We'll see how it goes. We'll take an assessment when things pan out. We should know the background of the whole story. We should know how things are happening because China is entering into a period of uncertainty. When China enters into a period of uncertainty, it's going to affect most of us. So we need to know how to analyze that. That's why I took this trouble of saying all this. Huang says, stop your bullshit. Well, I'm not talking bullshit, my dear Huang. You please go and get hold of that Z shit. Okay. He's the guy who's doling it out. What is our best scenario regarding China? Chaos. Couple of years of chaos, and you'll see their economy going down, indecision, power struggle. Their economy will fall. And once their economy falls, their power will start waning. The economy has to crash. That is almost on the cards. It'll be interesting if Tibetan freedom movement props up. I'll speak of it. Then you take a call because there are issues in this also. Sir, but for Z's policy, we would have been swamped economically. CCP under anyone else would continue. I agree. What Vishnathan Singh is right. Z has helped us by whatever he did. He's put India on the right track. I've always maintained India had two good friends 2 years back. The first good friend was Imran Khan. The second was Xi Jinping. Imran Khan completely destroyed Pakistan, and Xi Jinping put China on its path of destruction. They're good friends of China. I don't want Xi Jinping to go. Nice one. Xi Jinping. I thought he was a he. Isha Desai. Salute. Thank you. Can we expect a perestroika in China? Why not? If and why not? And if yes, when? Perestroika will come only if they have a young leader. This Wang Yang is already 70. We don't know whether if he comes, what will his outlook be? We have to have a Gorbachev. When will China produce its own Gorbachev for perestroika? That's the question mark. Does Indian higher ups understand that China is a completely different kind of civilization with its own value and they look through a modern lens? I mean, they ate a city for the state. See, the thing about a civilization, Chinese civilization and all is great, but that culture is no more the same. And I'll talk of it sometime, this thing, because 10 reasons why China is going to remain in chaos. We'll talk of it. 10 reasons. I put the thing. Any day now, I'll talk about it in the evening or in the morning. We'll see. But your channel is banned in China. That's okay. I'm not this channel is not for China. Chinese will see it. Don't worry. But I want Indians to see and understand what I'm talking. Yeah, wonderful narration, General Saab. Lot of knowledge. Thank you. Uh, I'm worried about high tech. Don't worry. We'll be okay. We'll get by. Don't worry. What if Taiwan takes over mainland? Can we have a video about this? We'll do that. First, let's talk of Taiwan. What's the problems in Taiwan? Taiwan can't take over anyone now. Is it possible that Xi will continue as president? Possible. But he'll not be an effective president. If he has to be a president till the next, this thing, there'll be a huge purge in China. Yeah, China's economy be gauged from the conditions of the rural China, which is bad at this point of time. The rural China is in pretty bad shape. Okay. Ukraine struck very deep. I know that. What happened to the recent people agitation in China? When did they agitate? The Chinese people are the most supine people. They have not agitated for their rights. If they had agitated for the rights, they should have thrown the Communist Party off. They didn't. That is why, unlike Indian guys, यहाँ तो ठीक है 5 साल के बाद you have the choice after another 3 years to throw Mr. Modi out. They don't have the choice. Yeah, is China going the USSR way? I've answered. I put the posers. Let's see how it goes. Yeah. How far is India taking the plan of giving proper Sanskrit name to the areas in Tibet and Arunachal Pradesh to counter Chinese propaganda? I don't think we are doing it, to be very honest. We have to do, only then talk. So far, none. Amitesh, you are the best expert on China after Vijay Gokhale in India. Thanks for the compliment. Do we see a deng on the Chinese? I don't know. To be very honest, we don't know those fellows. Those faceless guys. Let them come out and then we'll see. Yeah, can China create global food shortages? No, they don't need. They need food themselves. Does Hu Jintao? Yeah. Let me. If isn't it true that change of leadership in China means the world has turned? There will be a problem. Let me be very clear. It's going to affect a lot of economies, and it'll affect our economy also unless we are smart. Okay, I think we are done for the day. We've traversed a lot of questions. I've taken a lot of questions. Thank you. An odd question of someone. Let's take this. Does Hu Jintao still have any hold in CCP? He has. He has. Okay, he has. These are not narratives. These are facts which are coming out. They're coming out in some form or the other, and these are corroborated by other things. And even if they don't come out, and if there's a struggle, we should know what the struggle is. It doesn't matter whether Hu Jintao has power or not. I'm not bothered. As far as Xi Jinping is in trouble and he's the boss of China, we are okay. Who will replace him? We'll see when he comes. Okay, right. I think we've covered the whole lot. Right, we'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll have to see what I have to speak to in the morning. I have a lot of topics, but too much of China is bad, and so we'll see what I'll talk tomorrow. I have to make up my mind, but I will talk something 8:39. Right. With this, thank you. Good evening. Jai Hind. Have a good night.